last night in L.A. and not the ones you are expecting. So we'll get to all of that and more. But we start with a critical Thursday night game that ends in controversial fashion. Here we go. Texans, Colts in Houston. Deshaun Watson looking to bounce back from what was the worst game of his career. And early second quarter, this is not a good moment.
No, not a great way to start. Ball gets tipped, interception, putting the Colts in driver's seat to take the lead.
Kenny Moore with the pick. It's Watson's first pick in his last 10 home games. He had thrown 303 straight passes without an interception at home. And with the Colts cash in, that's the question. The answer, yes, Jacoby Brissett.
Great call here by Frank Reich. Nobody on the Texans expects Jacoby Brissett to run in. Maybe not even himself. Takes it in for pay dirt for the easy score.
Colts up 7-3. Ensuing Texans drive. The theme of the night was Watson going deep. And how is D-Hop this open?
It's just a blown coverage on the back end, Greeny. He's one of the best receivers in the NFL. He's the guy you have to account for, and the Colts just turn him loose. You can see here, no deep safety, no within 10 yards. Easy throw for Watson.
Texans a 10-7 lead. Nice moment. That's a football for mom. Colts would kick a field goal before the half, so we're tied up at 10 at the break. Middle of the third, still tied at 10. Colts with the football. Jonathan Williams playing for the injured Marlon Mack. Ran it well.
And this was a theme that you saw all night. The Colts were able to pound the football, pound it in here for 7, and were able to dominate up front.
26 carries, 104 yards, and that touchdown for him. Colts up 17-10. But again, Watson in the deep ball.
Great job here on moon ball. Watson puts a lot of height on this, allowed to drop it right in the bucket to Hopkins. Look how high he gets on this. There's no way to defend it.
That one's actually Will Fuller. 7 catches, 140 yards for him later in the quarter. Colts up 17-13. T.Y. Hilton didn't play a lot in this game coming back from injury, and that's a big drop.
He's a Pro Bowl caliber receiver. He expects to catch it. It was contested, but you can see how frustrated he is for letting this first down slip through his fingers.
And as a result, they have to punt, and so the Texans get the ball, and on a second down, again, it's the theme of the night, the long ball. There's D-Hop.
You see the ball lead the screen. It's going to come right over the top. No matter how good the coverage is, it's not going to matter.
2 touchdowns, 2 balls for Mom in the stands. Hopkins had 6 catches. Texans a 20-17 lead. So 3 minutes left. Colts still down those 3. Going for it on a 4th and 7. Jacoby Brissett, he can run for it. He's going to get close, but not quite to the sticks.
He had all the time in the world. He's not the quarterback you necessarily want to see scramble. He falls about a half yard short of converting and moving that drive.
Of course, it's had the injuries to the knee and to the ankle. And then here's the moment as the Texans are looking to run out the clock. Darius Leonard forcing a fumble from Deshaun Watson. Clearly, it appears the Colts are going to get the ball back, but that's not the way it goes.
It's tough. The ball is clearly out. The officials should have let it play out. Instead, they rule it down, and then there's no clear possession, and then we have a mess.
We'll talk about the mess in a moment, but first, let's talk about what Darius Leonard had to say. He was the man who made the play. Upset after the game, told the Indy Star, quote, "I punched it out. I punched for it, got it out. I had it, and after that, they said it wasn't a fumble." Deshaun said, "I hit it out right after the play." The NFL officials, meanwhile, responding to all the talk on Twitter, said officials on the field ruled a fumble recovered by the offense. There was no clear visual evidence of a recovery by the defense. Now, for those of you who did not stay up late and watch this last night, this took a long time to adjudicate, even though there didn't seem to be any adjudicating going on, because Houston inexplicably called a timeout while all this was going on. So they had forever, inside of 2 minutes, no challenge upstairs to look at it again. And in the end, it winds up being Texans ball, completely changes the outcome of the game.
It really does, and that wasn't, I know what they tweeted out, the NFL officials, but that wasn't what happened in that game. In the game, they said that there was nothing to review.
Right.
And they said that he was down. So it wasn't until after the outcry afterwards that they changed their tune and said, oh, wait. No, we reviewed it, and then it wasn't a clear recovery by Indy, and that wasn't the case. That's what had everybody up in arms, that's not what happened.
Sanchez.
Well, they said there's no visual evidence. I think we just watched it. It was a fumble recovered by the defense.
Well, and the problem is when they say that then, and as they're peeling off the pile, if they don't anticipate it being a fumble, they're not trying to determine possession.
Right.
They're pulling guys off. Yep. They're calling them down on the field. And so then they can say, well, we didn't know who had the football, when clearly Darius Leonard had the football, was touched, and would have been
The first ref that was there, you see him walking up, shaking his head, saying no. They're telling him he fumbled, and the ref is like, nope. Didn't happen.
They had to go somewhere.
No, and we cannot overstate the significance of this moment. This is a game between the 2 division-leading teams.
Oh.
The Colts already had a game in hand against the Texans, so they would have swept the season series. Instead, now Houston in total driver's seat position in the AFC South.
It changes the outlook of the AFC South, but either way, neither team is making any noise in the playoffs.
And that was a point that you made earlier today, so let's get to that. Vilma, you buying that?
I'm not buying that. Why would Houston not be able to make any noise in the playoffs? You look at what they have when Will Fuller's healthy. They have big play receivers. They have DeAndre Hopkins, one of the best receivers in the game. Offensively, they can keep up with anybody.
Let me show you where
and that's it.
Let's show you quickly just the playoff positioning right now. Again, Texans with that win go to 7-4. Colts right now on the outside looking in at the playoffs. Still a lot, obviously, to be decided here. Bobby, you buying that? Either of these two teams, because a lot of people love the Colts. They've had some bad, obviously, losing luck before the season, but even Brissett going down and some trouble with kicks from Adam Vinatieri, or their record might look completely different. Are you buying that neither of these teams are legit contenders?
The Colts can run the ball really well. I think they have a shot. For the Texans to have a shot, though, they're going to have to put it all on Deshaun Watson because they have not been able to run the ball with any type of consistency. We know Watson's been great, been very, very solid this year. He can extend the play, he can do some things, but he has to limit those mistakes. He can't have the interceptions. He can't have the sacks. And if he eliminates that, then they do have a shot. But there was another one last night right there that he would have had an opportunity to give the Colts great field position again.
I really hope they do. I hope they do for Deshaun Watson's sake. All I'm saying is that offensive line, it's like a bad ex-girlfriend. They say they're going to change, and they don't. It's just, it's not. They come back with the same issues every time, and then he's under duress. And now we're talking about Deshaun Watson. Man, he doesn't have enough time. He takes too many hits. He does this and that and the other.
Okay.
He's one of the best quarterbacks, one of the best pure passers in the league. I stand
But then
on
if we're
that.
saying that about Houston, and we're saying Houston has no chance, then Kansas City has no chance.
No,
right?
I disagree.
Why would you disagree? Their defense is worse than Houston's defense.
Fine, but they have an offensive line, and Mahomes is making some plays.
But
I just disagree.
If we're going to go with quarterbacks, and I'm not disputing if Mahomes is better than Watson, wherever it is. You have two very good quarterbacks. You have two very capable receivers for both teams. And then you have a better defense in Houston than you have in Kansas City. Why is Kansas City the one that's going to make noise and not Houston?
Because I have to double down on my mask on Monday Night Football.
You do, but
That's
if you
why.
look at
Kansas City.
Deshaun Watson holds the ball a lot. And last night, it was very on brand for him. He can try to make plays. He can do that. And he can extend and do some things. But the problem is when he gets in trouble, holds on to it, takes sack, ill-advised throws, he has to clean that up and eliminate it. It's not all on the offense.
He just needs some help.
Look, we all have guys that we sort of have always liked and supported and stood up for. I mean, Deshaun Watson has been my guy forever, going back to when I begged the Jets to take him coming out of Clemson. And I know that this used to be Cam's move, but to me, no one is asked to do that in the NFL more than Deshaun Watson. I'm not making excuses. I'm not suggesting he's perfect. But look at the situation Patrick Mahomes is in, generally speaking. I understand the defense is bad. And look at what they put on the shoulders of Deshaun Watson. I think in a better situation, we'd be talking about Deshaun Watson as good as any quarterback in the NFL.
Well, this is the first time that they've had Will Fuller back, and you saw the contribution he can bring. And so if they can kind of integrate that into the offense over the next few weeks and be able to make those big downfield throws, take some pressure off Hopkins and Watson, that's something that's going to be a huge difference for them moving
Mark,
down the
look
line.
at that number on the bottom of the screen. He was 4 for 4 on throws 30 yards downfield or farther.
The rest of the NFL is less than 30% or right around 30% on those throws. He was 100% last night. That doesn't happen all the time. I'm saying you get in the playoffs, these balls aren't going to be available. Guys are going to make plays. It's just going to be too much for them.
To me, I think Kansas City is better than Houston, but I would put them both in the category of if you have that guy, you've got a puncher's chance. If you have Deshaun Watson, you have a puncher's chance. And look at that number from Hembo. Less than a 1% chance of completing all 4 of those balls.
So remember what I said about 30%?
Even better, yes. 30% of the time it works.
There would be no math.
1% of the time.
Good job, Mark.
Okay, so that's where the conversation begins. We move on to our next issue, and it would have